What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of BKNY Hoops. If you're new to the channel, I'm your host as always, Rashid White. All right, let's get into it. You guys see the title, you see the actual graphics. Zach Lowe actually claps back at Cam Thomas, and I'll try to get into the midst of what really happened. Cam Thomas took offense of what Zach Lowe had said about him, basically calling the numbers that he actually put up empty calorie stats is what he actually said, and really what that actually translates is just like he has really no type of impact on winning whatsoever. So let's get into the actual article in itself right there. There's a couple of articles I want to go over. Big live stream tomorrow night if I'm not too tired. I'm sorry about the lives, man. I've just been so exhausted, man. You guys have no idea, man. When I do the live, I explain to you guys what's going on. So let's get into this right here. And it says Zach Lowe responds to Nets Cam Thomas over consensus spat right there. So basically, let me get right into the actual meat of the article over there. It says if Cam Thomas had listened to the subsequent 12 minutes, I don't think he did, but I don't know. He would have heard me dive into his game and talk about his career high assists, Lowe said to colleague Rob Mahoney. While Thomas was within his right to address any criticism of him or his game, Lowe also spoke about Thomas for much longer than that. What was put on social media to provide context around the conversation. Certain kind of passes that he's gotten off meanly better at, like Nick Claxton, little dump offs and stuff like that. Lowe continued. I have said consistently for 2 years of Cam Thomas dialogue that the guy can straight up get buckets and there's a place for him in the NBA. To me, that is most likely the six-man scoring burst guy, which is actually really an offense to Cam Thomas. So I don't think Zach Lowe is really kind of looking at the gravity of the situation right here. So he says, which is what I said in that 12-minute segment. I'm sorry. As part of Lowe's discussion of Thomas, the former ESPN NBA commentator mentioned that Thomas is one of the most polarizing players in the NBA, and how social media reacted to Lowe's comments proved that once again. Thomas, 23, is coming off his best season of his 4-year career. And to me, like I said, again, we have to see like what type of impact does it really have truly to winning or not. All right, so and on another news article over here, and it says this comes from Nets on SI, and it's basically saying that there's a report Cam Thomas most likely restricted free agent to take the qualifying offer. And it says the free agency period has probably not gone the way Cam Thomas expected. After back-to-back seasons averaging over 20 points per game, the 22-year-old reportedly seeks a deal in the range of 4 years and $100 million, $25 million per year. And now he thought that something was probably going to happen, but you guys actually heard me that Sean Marks, there was, the writing was actually pretty much on the wall that he just does not value like Cam Thomas like that, man. He just doesn't, and when he didn't really give him his extension last season, when Şengün, guys in his draft class pretty much got their extensions, he didn't. So that pretty much tells you right there that Sean Marks doesn't really value Cam Thomas like that, And to get back to Zach Lowe's comments, like like a 6-man coming off the bench really doesn't command $25 million a year, So it's really a stab at Cam Thomas's pockets right there, and he's afraid that guys like Sean Marks, maybe other general managers are listening to this. And I don't blame him, man. I mean, listen, somebody's costing me $100 million. I'm going to be really pissed off about it too. But then you have to be real about it that he's undersized, right? 6'1-ish, 6'2-ish, without the sneakers on. He shoots below 35% from the three-point line, and being an undersized guard, you actually have to really pick up 94 feet. You know, if you look at Davion Mitchell from the Miami Heat, he does that, right? He picks up 94 feet. The same thing with like a Jose Alvarado. Who else, man? I think TJ McConnell does that to a degree. You know, a lot of the undersized guards. Alex Caruso picks up 94 feet. You know, you don't really see Cam Thomas actually really doing that, man. So, okay, so it says on June 29th, the Nets extended Thomas a 1 year, almost like, let's round it off, $6 million qualifying offer, making him a restricted free agent. So, you know, outside of that qualifying offer, Brooklyn only reported offer was a 2-year deal worth around $14.1 million per year, with the team option on the second season around the value of the mid-level exception, according to Bleachers Report. Jake Fisher right there, man. I'm trying to rush through this, man. I had to get up at 4:30 in the morning. It's like 11:03 right now as I'm doing this, so just making a lot of mistakes, man. Just super busy. Okay, so Cam Thomas thinks of himself as one of the most elite playmaking scorers in the NBA, and he wants to be compensated as such. But to my understanding, the Nets have not offered Thomas anything more than a 2-year deal with the team option. All right, yeah, man. You know, so you guys actually heard me say this a billion times, man, and you know, I'll keep saying it. You know, like most teams around the league, right? He comes off the bench. You know, so he's like the numbers he's really putting up is really just on a bad franchise, man. If he was to go to like a winning franchise, as Zach Lowe says, and a lot of these other media pundits who I really just can't stand, I just have to agree with those guys, man, unfortunately. So, we'll see what happens with Cam Thomas. Cam Thomas needs to just go take the qualifying offer, you know, play his ass off, man. You know, show that you can actually contribute to winning. Show that your defense has actually gotten, you know, much better, right? Subscribe. Certainly share the video. When you share, the universe certainly shares back with you. Peace.